Oh, did you hear that? Okay. So today we are gonna be talking about the lesson on adjunction, one of the critical lessons in our review. And then later we will show how adjunction can be used for task 1 writing and even for task 2 writing. Okay. Have you heard of the term adjunction, guys? Adjunct. Has anybody heard of adjunct? Guys, I gotta smoke, you know. Okay, so we hear kids and we hear dogs. All right. So adjunction is the appropriate use of subordinate clauses, allowing the extension of a clause with a range of sentence structures and displaying the ability to move elements around for focus. Does anybody know what a subordinate clause is? From the word subordinate, what do you think that is? Come on, guys, I gotta eat.
Like
And
supporting.
a supporting clause, yeah. What else? I want you to get the precise meaning. Like when you say, I am a subordinate of blah, blah, blah. Somebody type in an answer. So a subordinate is lower to something. Secondary, okay, shalom, yeah. So you have a subordinate clause, and then, of course, the subordinate clause is lower compared to the ordinate clause. That's why you have the prefix sub there, subordinate. Sub meaning under, right? Like a submarine or a subpar performance there. So today we will be studying how we can have ordinate clauses extend with the use of subordinate clauses, thereby showing a range of sentence complexity. Okay, so before the lesson, let's have like, there, did you see that? Wow. Okay, let's have like, whoa, did you see how that bounced around? So we study linguistics, so that's what you call an ordinate clause. Some people call it the independent clause. Some people call it the main clause. So you have your subject, which is we, and you have your verb, which is study, and you have your object, which is linguistics. So that's what you call a base clause here. And then we want to show sentence complexity by adding subordinate clauses. So, whoa, did you see how that bounced around? At the University of the Cordillera. So take note of the preposition at. That is what we call an adjunct. So adjuncts are elements which legally authorize the extension of the clause. There. We study linguistics at the University of the Cordilleras, which is now what we call a discourse marker. That is another adjunct, which is located in Baguio City in the province of Benguet. So in, of course, is another preposition, which is one of the provinces. Do you hear the ambulance? There's an ambulance. There's an ambulance passing by. Okay, that's really what the world is now, home-based. one of the provinces in the Cordillera region where, so where is what you call a interrogative pronoun. So we can also use interrogative pronouns as adjunct. So something like who or where or who, when, there. Where the richest culture of our country can be found, of is therefore a preposition. Reflecting, undoubtedly, reflecting is what you call a gerund. Yeah. Undoubtedly, we can also use a gerund as an adjunct. Reflecting undoubtedly the uniqueness of our heritage, which is expressed completely in UC itself. Can you imagine what a long sentence that is? But the length of that sentence, this is how Bea writes. Let's analyze her essay later. So can you imagine how you're able to extend such a simple base clause, simple sentence, subject, verb, object, nearly indefinitely, right? Using all of these underlined adjuncts there. Okay. But at the same time, we can also move the elements around. So this base clause, this simple sentence, we study linguistics, we can actually move it towards the end of the very long sentence. So this is now what we call focalization, or topicalization, where the subordinate clauses are moved to the front of the sentence. And then the base clause is towards the end. So at the University of the Cordilleras, which is located in Baguio City in the province of Benguet, which is one of the provinces in the Cordillera region where the richest culture of our country can be found, reflecting undoubtedly the uniqueness of our heritage, which is expressed completely in UC itself, comma, we study linguistics. Okay, do you follow? Beautiful, right?
Yes.
So this is really like planets in the celestial heavens. So your base clause is actually like the sun. And all of the subordinate clauses that you see over there, they are the planets revolving around the sun. Can you imagine that? Linguistics actually conforms to the rules of the physical heavens there. And the sun itself is revolving, revolves around a more powerful gravitational force, which is the galaxies there. Okay, there. All right. So let's now see. Oh, there you go. Did you see that? A complex clause. And then this one, with. So with is what you call a conjunction. That's another one of those adjuncts. With the continued apathy, which is displayed by the people with regard to the changes which are wrought by global warming, the future of man presents a bleak forecast. So could you point out to me, guys, where is the main clause? Where's the main clause, people? Which one is the main clause? I want to hear answers.
The future of man presents a bleak forecast.
So, correct. Which is the subject?
The future of man.
And then the verb, of course, is
Presents.
presents. And then your object is therefore a bleak forecast. But if you notice, the main clause is towards the end of the sentence, and all the subordinate clauses are in front. That's what we call focalization or topicalization in linguistics, right? Wherein we move the subordinate clauses to the front of the sentence, primarily because it's more stylistic. Do you follow? That's why when I read essays, I can more or less tell that you have arrived at a level of sentence complexity if you are able to move the main clause later in the sentence rather than the front of the sentence. Okay, is that clear, people? Learning a lot? And then let's have another example. Oh, look at that, and. So and is what we call a conjunction. So the conjunction in this case is actually signaling the entry of another complex clause there. So unless the appropriate steps are taken, so unless is what you call a discourse marker by the people, by is what you call a preposition. Beginning from the overhauling, beginning is a gerund. Of their utter disregard, so of is a preposition. For the only planet they have, for is also a preposition. Is it a preposition? The world is doomed forever. So that again, at the end of it all, is your base clause, main clause, ordinate clause, independent clause there. So in this particular example, with this highly complex sentence, can you imagine it's a really long sentence? The period is just right at the end. So what happened here is that you were able to combine two base clauses. The future of man presents a bleak forecast, and the world is doomed forever. And in between, you now have all of these subordinate clauses. So do you know that there are certain solar systems where there are two suns? So that's the first sun over there, and the other sun is over there. Very nice, right? We can use astronomy and physics to describe linguistics. It's really all the same there. So it's like chemistry. Chemistry also conforms to these laws. Nice. So I hear a lot from students that one of their hated subjects is chemistry. So look at that. The future of man presents a bleak forecast with a continued apathy, which is displayed by the people with regard to the changes which are wrought by global warming. And unless the appropriate steps are taken by the people, beginning from the overhauling of their utter disregard for the only planet they have, the world is doomed forever. Wow, man. That's one complex sentence. You can use that for task 2 writing. There, do you see that? A compound complex clause. So what is a compound, guys? What's a compound? Chemistry. What's a compound? I'm not gonna
Base.
tell you. What's a compound? I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. MJ has an answer. What's a compound? Like you have a hydrogen. Uy, somebody said it. What was the answer?
Me, sir. It's a two chemicals, like something like that. Two chemicals mixed together.
Yeah. So when you say compound, that means two or more. There, compound. Okay, so you have two complex clauses combined together. Therefore, it's now a compound complex clause. Okay. But don't forget, the lesson here is all about these incredible words, the underlined ones, that allow you to extend a sentence. Okay, so adjunction is the process of extending a base clause or an independent clause or an ordinate clause through the use of adjunct markers, which authorize the expansion of the base clause via the insertion of a relative clause or a dependent clause, it's the same thing, or subordinate clause, in order to cover more relevant data in one sentence. It's kind of like how people are, right? Some people are independent. Some people are dependent, right? Like, how many dependents do you have, right? You know, the typical question. It's kind of like how families are. Some people can survive on their own. Some people need others to survive. There. That is adjunction. Okay. So let's proceed. Adjunct markers may include prepositions in, at, on, to, by, up, over, under, sideways. IELTS is not difficult to a hardworking student. So the base clause is IELTS is not difficult. IELTS is a subject. Is the verb. Not is the adverb. Difficult is an adjective. And then we follow up with the palamunin clause. Uy, that's what we should call it, right? Palamunin clause. It's like the answer of Gladys. What was that riddle? How do you say pang ilang ka sa mga magkakapatid? Yeah, and then Gladys's answer was, are you the breadwinner or are you the palamunin? It was funny, guys. Okay, I don't even get a courtesy laugh there. Okay, interrogative pronouns. Guys, a courtesy laugh is a laugh that is just meant to show courtesy. So you better say something like, you're so funny. That's so funny, sir, but it's not really funny. You're just showing courtesy. Okay, but that was funny, huh? That answer by Gladys. Or I think it was Bridget who answered something like, are you the one who washes the plates? That makes you like the youngest, right? So you can use interrogative pronouns as well, who, when, where, which. IELTS, which is not difficult to a hardworking student. There. So did you see how the subordinate clause followed the subject, and then after that you will have the verb afterwards and then the object. So it's not really just a matter of being in front of the main clause or at the back of the main clause. The subordinate clause can be somewhere in the middle. Incredible. Okay. And you can also have conjunctions like and, but, or, nor, that. Okay. I guess for is also conjunction, right? There. It's not difficult, but requires a lot of practice. Okay. And you may also use gerunds, like all verbs ending ing that act as nouns. IELTS is not difficult realizing it's a test that mirrors the real world. Okay. And there's actually a fifth, which is what we call there. IELTS is not difficult, needing only constant, dedicated practice. There's a fifth, which we call as the discourse marker, like the one we saw a while ago, like unless or because. There. Okay. All of these are adjunct markers. They are incredible elements in linguistics because they authorize the extension of a base clause. Okay. So sentence types, you have the simple sentence, a simple SVO. IELTS is recognized worldwide. And then you have the compound sentence, 2 or more SVOs. IELTS is recognized worldwide, and tests cost, oh my God, this is like from way back, man, 9,000. this document is like from what, 5 years ago. So the conjunction and over there in the middle, links to SVOs. It's now a compound sentence. And then you have a complex sentence. So you have an SVO with the adjuncts. So I just recognize worldwide costing 9,000. So this is the gerund, that's their adjunct. That's now a complex sentence. And then you have a compound complex sentence where you have, remember, a complex sentence is an SVO plus an adjunct, and you have two of them. So two or more SVOs plus adjuncts. I just recognize worldwide costing 9,000 and is the adjunct marker is administered in many parts of the world. It's advised that students always show a range of sentence types from simple sentences to compound complex sentences. Okay, so I think we can end the lesson with that one, and then let's now go into examples. Oh, look at this. An actual band 8 essay sample. In many countries, people no longer wear their national costumes. They are forgetting their history and traditions. More people should be encouraged to wear their national costumes every day. Do you agree or disagree? Guys, could you tell me if this is a one-sided question or not? One of the pivotal questions. What's the answer? Bridget. Guys, you just gotta guess. Me, Bim Bim, what's your answer?
Crossover, sir.
Crossover, what about the others? MG. Oh, I don't want that chatted answers. Double-sided for Shalom. So you have people no longer wear their national costumes, forgetting their history and traditions. That's one side of the issue. And then the other side is you just don't have the discourse marker over there. More people should be encouraged to wear their national costumes every day. So there. So it's a crossover. So let's see. You know, the writer of this essay is Pakistani. Look at that. Almost every country has its traditional costumes and national dresses. Some are comfortable and some are difficult to handle. By comfortable, I mean a dress being comfortable enough to be worn daily for your routine work. If we take the example of Pakistan's traditional dress, shalwar kameez, one can see that although it's a very comfortable night suit, wearing it for your office work, traveling on a motorbike, or a laborer working on a construction site, it gets quite uncomfortable and dangerous. Can you imagine the complexity of that sentence? Because of its design, shalwar kameez can obstruct various errands like cycling, hiking, and especially after traveling, the dress becomes quite messed up and untidy. If you compare this to regular pants and a t-shirt, I believe they are the best piece of clothing to be worn for many different purposes. That's just one paragraph from this actual Band 8 essay, owing in large part to the complexity of the construction. Any questions? You love the lesson? Learning a lot?
Yes, sir.
Learning a lot. But guys, take note, it's not all about complex sentences. Look at that first sentence. Is that simple or complex? Is that simple or complex? You know, the reason I ask questions is so that I can smoke. What's the answer? Simple or complex? Simple or
Simple.
complex? Simple.
The first one, sir, yes, sir. Simple.
Subject, Subject. The subject is
Every country.
almost every country. Verb. The verb is has.
Has.
Okay. Object, it's traditional costumes. And is the conjunction introducing another object, national dresses. What about the second one? What do you call that? Two simple sentences.
Compound.
A compound
Compound.
sentence. Whoa. Can you imagine how simple it starts and then it grows in complexity? Some are comfortable and some are difficult to handle. And then the sentences just keep growing. By comfortable, I mean a dress being comfortable enough to be worn for your daily routine work. The SVO there is a dress being comfortable enough. No. The SVO there is I mean a dress being comfortable enough and surrounded by adjuncts. By comfortable is an adjunct. To be worn daily for your routine work is an adjunct. And then he goes now to his third highly complex, compound complex sentence. If you take the example of Pakistan's traditional dress, shalwar kameez, one can see that although it's a very comfortable night suit, wearing it for your office work, traveling on a motorbike, or laborer working on a construction site, it gets quite uncomfortable and dangerous. Guys, I have a pop quiz for you. There are two SVOs there. What are the two main clauses? This is a binary star system. What are the two main clauses? Two independent clauses? The husband and the wife. What? Give me the two SVOs. Go, Bim.
The Pakistan's traditional dress.
Go further.
Pakistan's traditional dress, shalwar kameez.
That's actually one of the adjuncts. Can somebody see the SVOs?
I think it's Pakistan's traditional dress, and then the verb is take, and the object is example.
Okay, I'll help you out, guys. The what's happening with MJ there? Oh my God, MJ, you're like a kid. Oh my God, what's happening? MJ has begun doodling. She's so impatient. She wants the answer. So like
Ay, sorry, ano ba to?
like she has
Hinilang
lost
ko
control.
yung cellphone ko. Sorry.
So I hope by the next slide we can get rid of that. If we take the example of Pakistan's traditional dress shalwar kameez, all of that is an adjunct. Where's the SVO? Where are the two SVOs?
Very comfortable night suit. No.
Oh, that is also an adjunct preceded by the discourse marker, although. So the first SVO is one can see. Do you see that? One can see that although it's a very comfortable night suit, wearing it for your office work, traveling on a motorbike, or laborer working on a construction site gets quite uncomfortable and dangerous. Where is the second SVO? Where's the second one?
Siguro kung yung pa-under ko na kay Castillo ka ina si taton niya, for sure
Oh my
napasaka
God.
sa paglaban gid ra ni Castillo.
Oh my
Kaya
God.
lang ba, wal ka na isipin nga kan bulan kay Castillo bulan umbahan mo sa bulong. Ito lang gurong yung ginaba ko
She's
di nga
not
imo.
even aware.
Gurong di man pa ba?
Wow, this is the International Ilonggo Language Testing System. Uy, MJ, what's happening?
Even ko kung may mga posisyon yung mga tao, puro napasaka.
She's not even aware. MJ, you're on recording.
Dalas ba,
She's not listening to Maybe what did she say?
Nang daras, riktahan ko gid. Amal ko na dyan expose sa positive na
I
expose
speaker daw yan siya, sir.
tour na.
What is she talking about? Like hospital stuff?
Positive ko.
Kay,
Positive COVID.
Mandaw.
Okay.
MJ.
Wait, I'm gonna go mute her.
Ay,
She's not even aware of it. And then look at all these drawings that she made. Okay. So the second SVO is it gets quite uncomfortable. There. And MJ, daibatian ka na mo ga Ilonggo. What does that mean, Bim?
MJ, we are hearing you speaking in Ilonggo.
Okay, batian ka na mo ang Ilonggo. Ay, is it ag? Batian ka namin. Ga.
The
Ga
Ilonggo. Speaking.
Ah,
Ilonggo is wrong. Ilonggo is
ga Ilonggo. Okay. Okay. Double G. Okay. So, sige guys. Let's now demonstrate. I will now show you how. There, maybe we can skip that already. Can you imagine? MJ's drawing is still there. MJ, what's gonna happen to our lecture?
And this is recorded, sir.
Yes.
How can we erase this
The
stuff?
first time. The first time.
Okay. Oh man, like this is like drawing of a 3-year-old. Okay. Bim, can you somehow tell her like, MJ, can you please erase the mark?
Okay.
Can you type it there? I want to see how you say that in Ilonggo.
oh, sorry.
MJ, how does she erase this? Bim, like, I want to see how you message it. Albi?
Yes, sir. I'm typing.
Okay. Batiyan ka namong ga Ilonggo. Batiyan ka namong ga Ilonggo. MJ, pwede mo ma-erase ang line. No, I want it in Ilonggo.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to find
wait
the...
lang. MJ.
How do you say that in Ilonggo?
Pwede mo mabura.
Pwede
Wait
mo
lang.
mabura. Galinya. Okay. Sige, MJ, we'll live with that. Okay. So we have now a task 1. Pwede mo mabura ang mga linya sa screen. Is that Ilonggo? That's like Tagalog.
I can't do it. Paano ba yun? I-erase ko na
Okay.
dito, pero it doesn't work.
Okay. MJ can't happen. She just can't happen to do it. So we're gonna live with that, guys. This is an official recording. Okay. So
Sorry.
that's okay, MJ. That's really all in the spirit of fun. So one of the important things that we can use adjunction for is for task 1, especially when you're covering so much data, right? So I'm going to look at the information. The table gives information about 5 types of vehicles registered in Australia in 2010, 2012, and 2014. 5 types of vehicles registered in Australia. Okay. So you have passenger vehicles, commercial vehicles, motorcycles, heavy trucks, light trucks. Okay. So I would assume these are like buses and these are like cars there. Okay. And then we can see in 2010, oh, lots of passenger vehicles in Australia registered. Not too much on the cars and even fewer on these three there. And then 2012, there is a slight increase. And then also some increase over here. And in 2014, there's a smaller increase for these two, but a larger increase for these three. Oh, so that explains the percentage change. 2010 to 2014. So we can see light trucks and motorcycles having seen the highest percentage increase there. So what I'm gonna do, guys, is, for example, I will discuss this one. Okay, wait, where is the shapes there? Shapes over here. Okay, so where did it go? There. So we're gonna, and okay, I'm gonna encircle this one, guys. There, these two. Okay, let's remove the filler. Fill is no fill. There. Okay. And then, so that's gonna like represent one compound sentence, one SVO for that, and then linked by an adjunct, and then another SVO for this one. Do you follow? Do you see how it works? And then I'm gonna describe these three there. So now what you have is a compound complex sentence there. So you have two complex sentences, one complex sentence over here and another complex sentence over here. And we're gonna combine them together. So that is now a compound complex sentence. So this is how it looks like. So in 2010, passenger vehicles, guys, do not capitalize, registered 11,800,000. Wait, passenger vehicles saw a registration of 11,800,000, comma, and then the pronoun which is optional, and then you're going to follow by commercial vehicles at a distant second with 2,300,000 registrations there. Okay, so this now is your first SVO there. Do you see that? And then this is your second SVO, which is followed. And then that one is your adjunct marker. That was your adjunct marker. That one is your adjunct marker. Are you seeing how this works, guys? That one is your adjunct marker. That one is your adjunct marker. Is that clear, people? Okay, okay. All right, and then we will now move in to the second one. Maybe we can, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep this to a compound sentence, just to SVOs. And then I will now move into this one. So let's make it more complex. Meanwhile, so that's your rhetorical marker, your discourse marker. Uh, and even distant, wait, even more distant figures are seen with motorcycle registrations at over 500,000, heavy trucks at nearly 400,000, and light trucks coming in at the tail end with only tail ends there with only slightly above 100,000 there. Okay. So even more distant figures is your subject. Are seen is your verb. That's a passive voice. And then your object is with motorcycle registrations. And then adjunct there. Of course, this one is also a discourse marker there at over 500,000. So there is like this invisible conjunction here, and there heavy trucks at nearly 400,000. And there's the overt conjunction and light trucks. So this one is the gerund coming in at the tail end, and that is your conjunction with only slightly above 100,000. There. See. So take note of all of those bold highlighted words. They were the ones who allowed the extension of your base clause, making your sentence construction display sufficient complexity. Is that clear? In the end, let's just mix it with a simple clause. Let's jump from 2012 to 2014 there. So we will see that the same trends held for the next 4 years. See. So you're tired of all this complexity. All of these are complex. I mean, it can't be complex all the time, guys. So you gotta mix it up. So now this one is what you call a simple sentence. Actually, this is really a complex sentence by itself. So yeah. That's a subject. Yeah, simple sentence, and then verb, and then that's your object for the next 4 years. I'm sorry, 4 years there. Passenger vehicles increased by 10 percentage points there. That's your SVO, comma, and then conjunction but commercial vehicles nearly doubled this number at 17.4%. And then let's have the discourse marker. While the most significant, are you following, people? Increases can be seen in motorcycles. They're 30.8%. And light trucks, 23.5%. Wait, I want to end it there, and I want to cap it with another simple sentence. heavy trucks witnessed the smallest increase in 4 years. All right, so let's analyze how this works. So that's your SVO, your base clause, your independent clause, the one who doesn't need anybody in life. This is another SVO. Do you see that? That is a conjunction. I mean, that is the adjunct, the preposition in there. So what you have is a complex sentence surrounded by two simple sentences. Simple sentence number one, and then simple sentence number two. Okay. So now let's now analyze the middle clause there. Passenger vehicles increased by 10 percentage points. That's your SVO, and then you now have your discourse marker, but commercial vehicles nearly doubled this, and then while, that's another discourse marker, while nearly doubled this, okay, at 17.14%, comma here, while CCC, the most significant increases can be seen in motorcycles and light trucks. There, heavy trucks witnessed the smallest increase in 4 years. That's it. That's your essay. So all we need to do here is to just put the introduction. The survey reveals information as regards to vehicle registrations in Australia in a 4-year period from 2010 to 2014. There, okay. Correct? There. All right. And then let's just have the overview. Overall, it is apparent that I will now inject an adjunct. Okay. Despite having the largest amount of registrations throughout, passenger vehicles so minimal increase vis-a-vis those of motorcycles and light trucks. There, that's my overview. So this is your SVO. It is apparent there. And then this is now your discourse marker despite. Okay. This is another SVO. So minimal increase there. And then this is your discourse marker vis-a-vis those of motorcycles and light trucks. Okay. This is also a discourse marker as regards to there. So this is your SVO here. And then discourse marker, a mix. It's a mix, right, guys? Simple, complex, compound. There. That's your essay. And how many words did this take us? Like 151 words. Oh my God, I'm so proud. I barely exceeded the 150 word count. And then if you had time, then you can just improve on the vocabularies, elucidates as regards to vehicle register in a 4-year period. Let's add some adjectives. That's why computer delivered is so fun, right? You can just insert all the time. Instead of largest, the most notable. amount of registrations throughout passenger vehicles saw mm, an insignificant increase vis-a-vis those of motorcycle. Instead of saw, witnessed. Do you follow, people? We're just in the process now of just improving, all the vocabulary. We still have time, let's assume. And then, which is followed by commercial vehicles at the distant second. Even more distant figures are seen with motorcycle registrations at um, nearly over 500,000 and heavy trucks at nearly 4,000. Okay, and then remember this end is invisible, so we can take that out already. And light trucks coming in at the tail end with only slightly above 100,000. And the same trends held for the next 4 years. Passenger vehicles climbed by 10 percentage, but commercial vehicles doubled this output at 17.4%, while the most significant increases can be seen in motorcycles. They're all right. And light trucks, heavy trucks witnessed the smallest increase. I already used witnessed, so displayed. Okay, I'm happy with my essay. That's it, guys. Thank you to Adjunction. So let's look at the essay of Bea Lucindo. Wait, any questions first? Is there a question? Come on, I gotta grab something to eat. Is there a question in mind? None? Look at this. There are indeed a lot of historical places on Earth. Simple sentence. It's amazing how it can stand for so many years. The sentences just grow in complexity. Laws are protecting them. That's your discourse markers. So, and then they can preserve some of the beauty, another adjunct, and leave a reminder of a nation's history for future generations. Look at this. Governments, subject. And then the adjunct comes in, not only the Philippines, but all over the world. Do you see that? How she injected that? That's a verb. The subject is here, governments. The verb is here. There. And then object, very particular. And then there goes the adjuncts with ancient artifacts, old buildings, or historical structures. So this is your conjunction that again leads us to another SVO. They made laws to protect them from being demolished. There, you see that? I believe that maintaining these buildings is very important because it reminds people the journey our country had been through and how we got our freedom that we all enjoy to this day. So that's why she's quite able to produce such a prolific essay, with her ability at sentence complexity. There. See, very thick paragraphs. She has a simple sentence right here in the middle. There. Okay. Oh, I wholeheartedly believe. Okay. That is adjunction. Okay. All right. Any questions? Enjoy the lesson? Did you enjoy the lesson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's just end with some errors. Referential incoherence in clause combinations. And tell me why these are errors. So there goes the artwork of MJ. MJ, the unforgettable one. So young people prefer reading books and watch TV. How do you correct that, guys?
Watching. They should
Watching.
be the same.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened here is there's such a thing as young people prefer. Do you see that? Right over there. Young people prefer reading books and young people prefer, do you see that? But we just did not inject it anymore to avoid redundancy. So it doesn't make sense. Young people prefer watch TV. Okay. While individuals must be concerned enough with the issue of poverty. What do you think the problem of that is, guys? It's
Incomplete
a dangling
sentence.
modifier.
Dangling.
Dangling modifier. So that a modifier is really just a adjunct. It is just a, what are the other words? A dependent clause or a relative clause or a whatever. It cannot survive on its own. It needs to attach to a base clause or an independent clause or the main clause by means of a comma. So while individuals must be concerned enough with this issue of poverty, and then comma, and then you go into the main clause. Is that clear? Follow,
Yes.
follow.
Yes, sir.
I think they call it by another. They call this another thing. That's like a. It's like a hanging sentence or a. Does anybody know? I've forgotten. A hanging sentence or a. Mm, by the time I end the recording, that's the time I'll remember. Damn. Okay, some of which include. So this is the same problem. It's a faulty construction. Okay, you cannot have a dependent clause survive on its own. A child who always works and no play can make him dull. Could you correct that for me, guys? A child who always works and no play. Kindly correct for me, guys. Go, go, go. Come on, let's finish the slide. Nobody wants to guess? So a child who always works and a child, remember, we just did not mention it again or write it again because it's redundant. But there is an invisible element there. That is a child who no play. We repeat this.
Doesn't play.
A child who
Child.
like a child who, yeah, we can also say a child who doesn't play. Or a child who has no play can make him. A child who always works and has no play can make him dull.
Mm.
There. The government and individuals have a shared responsibility if it wants to solve poverty. What do you think is wrong with that, guys? Is there something to be corrected?
The word eat,
Article.
The word
eat,
it.
eat should be they.
They.
They want to solve
They
the
want.
problem.
Okay. So we use it so that we avoid the redundancy of mentioning government and individuals again. But it is the wrong pronoun. Do you follow? So the government individuals have a shared responsibility if the government and individuals. So instead of saying government individuals repetitively, we just use a pronoun, but the pronoun is wrong. The pronoun should be they, and this should be want. If they want to solve poverty. Since early child education creates situations that affect person, it's another one of those. I still cannot remember what you call this. A hanging sentence. A, I still can't remember, guys. Some people depend on the government because it uplifts their welfare. There's nothing wrong with this one. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that one. So it refers to government and there refers to people. There. In this way, poor people can provide support to his or her family. Could you correct that for me, please? Correct that for me, please. Poor people can provide support to their family. Okay. So instead of saying people again, we use a pronoun, but the pronoun is wrong, so that should be there. Parents can monitor children so they'll know what they're up to. Oh, this one is so confusing. So the problem with they is that it refers to either parents or children, right? So you don't know which one it refers to. So how do you correct that? Parents can monitor their children, so what? Rosa,
What the children or what the kids are up to.
what the kids are up to. And then the they will know. We can say these parents. Parents can monitor their children, so these parents know what their children are up to, their kids are up to. Do you follow? Sometimes there can be some referential problems when you do clause complexity. Okay. Watch out for the reference. Rather than watching to their television and watch the news, correct that for me, please. Correct that for me, please. Go.
There instead there rather than rush to
Rather than watching to their television and watch the news. So this is another example of we inject the conjunction and, right, to link to main clauses, right? So to prevent the redundancy of using rather than again, that should be here, right? We eliminate it, right? To prevent redundancy.
okay.
But
Right.
there, do you see? So rather than rushing to their television and rather than watch the news, oh, rather than rushing to their television and watching the news. Okay. After analysis of the argumentation, these are actual errors from students. After analysis of the argumentation, come to a point in concluding that. Could you correct this for me, please? It's like a concluding paragraph, right? Correct that for me, please. Let's go, Bim Bim. Let's go, LV.
I'm still analyzing.
There's a missing element somewhere here. So this is actually a adjunct. This is the main clause. That's your SBO, but it's missing a subject.
It
It
Mm.
comes
It
to
comes
a
to a
point.
point. No, in concluding that, I don't think it's it. It comes to a point in concluding that.
This, after
Or
analysis, this
maybe
comes.
the writer, this
The
writer
writer,
comes to a point, or
after analysis with the argumentation, the writer comes to a point in concluding that. This writer has come to a point. This writer has come to a point in concluding that. Okay. This writer has come to a point in concluding that. The government must be responsibly for poverty and same responsibility as us. Oh my God, that's so messy. Help the writer, please.
be responsible.
Must be responsible for poverty and so we just avoided the redundancy of the subject here. The government must. So the government must be responsible for poverty and the government must same responsibility as us. The government must come on guys, let's end the slide.
The government must be responsible for poverty as us. It's like
The
government is responsible for poverty and we are also responsible for the poverty. Parang ano siya.
okay, like can we make the slightest changes so that we don't have to make so many notations? The government must, just to prevent the redundancy, we took it off here, right? But let's assume it's there. The government must.
They should
They
share
should
the same responsibility as us.
They should share. The government must share the same responsibility as us. The government must have the same responsibility as us. Okay. Individual with the government who are capable of helping poor people. Okay, so yeah, it's another one of those dangling modifier stuffs. I still can't remember what they call it. Nobody remembers. Is that a run-on sentence? Anyway, individuals with the government who are capable of helping poor people, comma, there. With proper money allocation, government can monitor What's this?
Their people.
Should be it.
Its people well. There. The government can monitor its people well. Some also claim that prior to the election of the government officials, prior to the election of the government, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. Ah, there it is. Most of their platforms promised to extend or allocate funds to them. So this them is so vague. Which is this referring to? That's a referential problem. And rules are just imposed by the government, so people would say they are doing duties for them.
Them.
Okay, I'm so lost as to what them refers to. For whatever, it's up to you, writer. I don't even know what them refers to. So rules are just imposed by the government. So people who say that they are doing their duties for themselves, or for the government itself. Yeah. Okay. So that being said, okay, you want to do a task 2? Wait, I'm gonna stop the slide first because the lesson is over. Let's do a task 2, and then I want you to write it for me, guys. Huh? Okay. Hold on. Stopping the recording. I'm sure after I stop the recording, I'm gonna hear people like go like, "Whoa, man! Thank God the recording's over." Like, oh my God, yeah, now I can finally talk. Hold on, stopping the recording.